America's a very unique place, and to say that we moved here so that we would have the right to self-defense would really be selling America short. But that was a huge factor, and when you think about it, most of the other things that are great about America really stem from that the people are the source of power, and they delegate some of that to their government through the Constitution, both here in Virginia and at the federal level. And that's really quite a unique thing throughout all of human history, that power comes from the people, not from a government, not from a military. And that was something that really attracted me to the United States when I started learning about that in high school. We studied the American Revolution and how that impacted the British Empire, which subsequently led to Australia becoming an independent country. But I kept coming back to this concept. It was so different to a constitutional monarchy. And we see all over the country today, the people who have their hands on the levers of power seem to be completely disconnected from this concept that they are not the high and mighty, they are not the powerful. They are the people who are there to do the bidding of those who give them the power, the people. The Constitution preamble begins with that phrase, we the people. The Second Amendment specifically talks about the right of the people, and for some reason people seem to want to say that doesn't mean what it says. But when they see that same phrase 2 lines later in the Fourth Amendment, which begins the right of the people, they seem to agree that's definitely an individual right against seizure of property, warrantless searches, and things like that. The inconsistency is really quite staggering. I really wonder what has gone on in civics class in the United States for the last couple of generations, that so many people have so little knowledge of what they've been given and so little understanding of just how unique it is throughout all of human history. But that is why we came here. We are from a place where we aren't allowed to defend ourselves. We aren't allowed to have firearms. We aren't allowed to even carry something as simple as a pocket knife in public. If you fight back against a home invader, you will probably get charged. When guns were removed from civilian ownership in Australia, most types of guns, almost all types, knife crime went through the roof. Gangs with machetes were invading homes and cutting people up. That's no place to raise a family. But that's what you get when you disarm the good people, because the bad people don't care. If somebody is committed in their heart to take somebody else's life, whether just because they want to murder somebody or whether they want to steal something, but if they've got that in their heart, a property possession charge is nothing to them. So we decided we were going to bring our kids to a much safer environment where our kids could be in control of their own safety. And that's why I'm here today, because we've now got people in the majority in the Capitol up there on the Hill who don't want me to have the right to defend my family or myself or my community. They, for some reason, despite everything the government does being less efficient and less effective than any other means of doing anything, they seem to think that the government can do an effective job of defending us. But yet they offer no legislation to make that happen. They just want us to be defenseless. So that's why we came here, and that's why I'm here today trying to protect the rights of myself and my kids to be safe.
Gun owners of all races and creeds from Virginia and across the country are here to stand in solidarity against gun control.
I first found out about VCDL through the lobby day in 2020, and I was listening to Philip Van Cleve on the radio and saw lots of things online through social media and the news, and I saw that what actually happened was not being portrayed in the news media. And that was really the beginning of our journey to becoming gun owners ourselves. It really showed that everything that the media said about guns was incorrect. And in many cases, willfully incorrect. VCDL, we joined VCDL not long after we bought our first firearm, and they've been a tremendous asset to us learning the gun laws in Virginia so that we can continue to be the good guys and follow the law, but also in helping connect us with resources to learn more, and then advocating through lawsuits and things to roll back unconstitutional laws. It's a great organization to be a part of, and I'm so thankful that we found out about VCDL, particularly coming from a country where there's practically no gun culture. We didn't know anything. So flat-footed in what we needed to learn, and VCDL was a big part of helping us get started in that journey. Human history is filled with any time people attain rights, somebody's trying to take that away. And we have seen many examples throughout the country on lots of issues, not just this one, where people get complacent. They assume that people are running for office with good intent. And for most, that is true, I think, hopefully. But not for everybody. So we see all of these gun control laws here in Virginia that are being proposed. None of them comply with the Constitution. None of them comply with even very recent Supreme Court rulings and even other federal court rulings, not even getting to the Supreme Court level. None of them will stand in court. It's as though they are crafting malicious legislation to try and take money from the people to force us to have to defend what the Constitution plainly is supposed to defend for us. And that only happens because people allow, voters allow those kinds of people to become legislators. It's not magic. They're here because people voted for them, and the people who didn't vote in their districts didn't vote for somebody else. It's very simple. The only way to have people who will take their oaths seriously and uphold the constitutions of Virginia and the United States is to vote for people who will take their oaths seriously and uphold those documents. You can't wait for somebody to stand up for you. We're long past that. It's time to stand up for yourself, and that's why I came down today. I'm not an activist by any stretch. I don't. I send emails to legislators from time to time, but we are past hoping for the best and acting in good faith. It's very clear that many people with their hands on the levers of power and with big pockets are not acting in good faith, and we have to say this far and no further. Because otherwise our children will not have what we have. Maybe a little bit about what happened in Australia when they took away civilian gun ownership. I already mentioned knife crime went crazy. They had to give police the power to search anybody, anytime, anywhere, without any probable cause or a warrant. And that still didn't help very much. It took years and years for the police to really even admit that there was a gang machete problem. They begin to try and combat it. And by that stage, there was somebody got killed a block from our house out in the middle of suburbia. We didn't live anywhere near crime, but that's what it had come to. And all of those gun laws were based on a massacre that happened at a tourist destination called Port Arthur. And People cite Australia as being an example of gun control that worked because there hasn't been a mass casualty event on the scale of Port Arthur since then. But they also forget that there had never been one like that beforehand. So the status quo was maintained. Did the gun legislation have any impact on mass shootings? Well, there isn't any argument to be made for that because there weren't any beforehand. What did happen was criminals were emboldened because the prey were made far more defenseless than they had been in the past. And that is what happens with gun control. You see it in Europe. You see it everywhere that it's tried. The predators become emboldened and the prey become just easier targets because the predators don't care about whatever gun laws you have. What would banning all firearms, if you could go door to door and remove every firearm from every home in the United States, what would that accomplish? Nothing, because 3D printing is a thing. CNC machines are a thing. Home Depot has everything you need to make a firearm. President Abe in Japan was killed in a country that denies civilian ownership of firearms in any way, shape, or form. Go into the hardware store, bought all the bits he needed, even made his own shotgun shells. Gun control does not stop bad people from doing bad things. It just makes the good people defenseless. And if you agree with that, join this organisation, come down to Lobby Day every year and participate and stand up for what is yours, because you may lose it if you don't.